Back with our panel now, Jim Veros, Estea Kessler, and Gary Bredefeld, a Fresno councilman. Thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it. All right, let's talk first of all about what we saw from the president this past week. He waited to tweet about the wildfires, and when he finally did, he tweeted about California water policy and the way that we divert water to here and there. Basically, it was the old farmer or fish argument that he seemed to put on the wildfire, at least casting part of the blame. Is there any way to find any sort of truth in this? Gary, a supporter of the president, did he miss the ball here? Or?
Well, they say that it isn't really a water issue in terms of putting out the fires, but then he also talked about thinning out.
He did.
He did.
And that right there, I will say, that is a valid argument, and we hear that a bunch, but that was a tiny little part in two different tweets.
Yes, and the environmentalists don't believe in thinning out. They think they're animals with habitats, and they never want to hurt the animals, yet we see, you know, the thousands and thousands of acres of fires. So is there politics involved? Perhaps there is, maybe with the water issue, but I think he's certainly on something with the thinning out of the
with the thinning. But again, that was a very, very small part of the tweet. Jim, what was your take on this?
Well, listen, everything is politics, right? So obviously, usually presidential elections don't start until after the midterms. It seems like in politics, as in decorating for Christmas, every year it gets, you know, it comes earlier and earlier and earlier. He's already campaigning. And, and he knows that he's never going to win California. He's not going to campaign here. But what he needs is the Rust Belt swing states, which is Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, a couple other states, Pennsylvania. And what makes him look really, really great to the folks that are swing voters or keeping his base motivated is that he's battling these California leftists, right? And that's what he's trying to show is that, you know, I'm out here for you, and if you get rid of me, these people over here are going to take over. So I think politically, that is what he's trying to, he always looks for things that he can sort of piggyback on in California to make it look like the left is doing something incorrect.
But is it correct, and Estea, take over for me here, is it correct and is it politically smart to say something that scientifically maybe doesn't have the footing?
He's in office. Yeah. Of course it worked.
Well, I want to say that I've talked to people that work in the forest industry, and they said, how can the Trump administration even say that when they're the ones that had the cutbacks in their line of work?
In the budget amounts in order to thin the forest. And that's another conversation for sure.
That was a major part in battling these fires, along with climate change, whether the two gentlemen on either side of me believe that or not, but I believe there has something to do with climate change and those crazy people that start fires. But it's gone wild, and by saying that it's California's fault, he has to share that fault as well.
Interesting. You're asking about facts. Sometimes facts don't translate into politics. This is not fact or fiction. This is strictly making the swing states that he needs for re-election to keep him in office. That's all this is. It has nothing to do with fact. It is just him versus XYZ. And today it is the California environmentalist. Next week it'll be somebody else, but it keeps him in the news. And what aren't we talking about this week? We're not talking about Russia. We're not talking about the special investigation. We're not talking about a lot of things. We're talking about him on Twitter, and he's getting more free press because of it.
Yeah, for sure. Although I do wonder, Gary, do you think that we're actually going to see, because these fires have been so bad now for so long, you know, and it's starting to become the new normal. I was just talking about this with the Lenny Kounalakis. Do you think that maybe we see a thawing of some of these environmentalists have been so strong and they've held such a grip when it comes to forest management?
No, I don't think so.
Do you think we're going to see a shift?
No.
A change?
No, I don't think so.
Allowing thinning of any forests?
I would hope so. I would think, you know, people will get tired of seeing the massive fires. But I just have watched this go on for so long. The environmentalists are intractable. They believe in the Endangered Species Act. I think the president is also showing his support for farmers with that, with the water allocation. He certainly talked about that when he came out here.
Let me ask you, I enjoy this this podcast about fantasy football. It's the it's the ESPN one, the Fantasy First Football. I don't know what it's called, but it's good. But they do something on it called News or Noise, and so I'm going to totally steal their idea. I want to do a little. You guys tell me if these stories are news or if this is just political noise that gets just drummed up. And let's start with the Devin Nunes secret audio tapes that came out of. It was on Rachel Maddow's show this past week. And basically, somebody got into up in Washington State, and so we could pop one of the quotes up on screen if we have it there. He said the Senate would have to drop everything they're doing and start with the impeachment of Rosenstein and then take the risk of not getting Kavanaugh confirmed. So it's not a matter that any of us like Rosenstein. It's a matter of timing. Basically, he was talking about, people were saying, well, why aren't we impeaching this guy they don't like? And he's saying, well, you got to think smart. A lot of people are saying, look at this. It's playing politics. This is what's terrible about Washington. Is this news or noise?
Noise.
Noise?
It's noise. It's politics and politicians. I don't know what to tell you. Everyone likes sausage until you see how it's made. I'm sorry. This is politics. This is chess.
Let me ask the Democrat. Is this news or noise?
I think it's noise as well. It's just keeping themselves in the news.
Interesting.
And total noise.
All right. Well, let me ask you then about Andrew Jans, Nunes' his opponent, obviously. They were shooting a promo on a private piece of property, and apparently, he says, a member of the Nunes family called the cops on him, called deputies on him, trying to shut it down. News or noise, Councilman?
Complete noise. Andrew Jans doesn't stand a chance to win this race, and I think it's meaningless stuff. Shoot your commercial, put it on TV. I think it's just noise.
I mean, do you think this is news or noise that somebody tried to shut this thing down?
I think it's a little bit of noise, but they had permission to be there.
Yeah.
So there was no trespassing, there was nothing, and nobody got arrested.
Noise. I think Jans is getting really upset that Devin Nunes hasn't mentioned his name once. And the reason why he hasn't mentioned his name once is that the internal polling continues to show that Devin Nunes is up in double digits. The moment that he's not up double digits, that $7 million that he has in a campaign account will be used, and this race is over.
Thank you so much, panel, for being here. We appreciate it. I had a good time, as always, with you guys. We're going to take